We're happy to have Seth Barker with us, the Deputy Chief of Operations for the Big Sky Fire Department in Big Sky, Montana. We're going to talk about what, Michelle?
We're going to talk about fire safety.
Fire safety, sure.
In the area and specifically in Montana. Our first question is about fireplaces. They're inefficient as they pose dangers, but they're cozy and we all like them. So let's figure out how to live with it. Is that
Sure.
what we're, talking about doing?
Right. I don't think we're here to talk about whether or not we should be using fireplaces. People are going to use fireplaces.
Yes, totally.
Yep.
But yeah, how do you feel about fireplaces? Should they be wood burning versus electric versus gas? What is a fireman's standpoint on all of this?
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. I don't think I've ever seen an electric fireplace before, but I could be mistaken.
They have fake logs, and they have like this little. We have one in the guest bedroom, and it has like a pretend fire in the background.
Gotcha.
It's a heater. It's a heater that looks like logs.
I think the two most common ones around the greater Big Sky area are wood burning and propane burning. I've had both in the two houses that I've owned in the past. The propane ones are pretty darn efficient and pretty safe. The wood burning ones are a little bit more risky because they take a lot more maintenance. I'm a big fan of fireplaces. Obviously they bring a lot of value to your home, and it's nice to be cozy around the fire. But they don't come out without their risks. The wood burning fireplaces, you have to make sure you clean them regularly. You got to make sure you clean the chases and clean the pipe or the chimneys on an annual, if not biannual basis. There's a couple great companies around Big Sky. I don't want to endorse one or over the other, but they definitely will come to your home and do a really bang up job for you. It depends on how hot you burn your wood stove, is how much creosote builds up. The hotter you burn your wood stove, the more clean and efficient it is. But sometimes that kind of blows you right outside the house. And you want to make sure you clean the inside of the stove as well almost before every single fire, because you don't want all that creosote building up inside the flume or inside the chimney.
How are we cleaning it every time?
Cleaning the inside of the stove every time by scooping out all the ashes.
Not talking about the pipe itself.
No, the pipe should be cleaned annually, if not biannually, every year.
Okay. Right. But just
by
leaving a
burnt.
nice little bed of ashes, that's not a good idea?
No, you should clean those out before every fire. And you can ask my family of how militant I am about that.
Okay.
Yeah. You had something happen in your own home with a fireplace, correct? Can you let us know quickly what that was?
That was pretty scary. Yeah. Coming from being a firefighter for 23 years in the area, I almost had my home burned down. We bought a brand new home, and we stoked up the wood stove just like I've done my whole childhood before we left to go out to dinner at the river house. And our house was so tight. It was kind of a perfect storm scenario. Our house was so tight that we had a really big wind event. The chase from the chimney was not quite high enough to go over top the peak of the roof, and it created kind of a vacuum event inside the home. We had a lot of insurance companies, a lot of inspectors come out to analyze this. And what happened was the smoke actually backdrafted inside the home and filled up our home full of smoke, ceiling to floor, and ruined everything inside our brand new home. It was really kind of a very catastrophic event for us. And we've only been in there for, less than 3 months. And we ended up having to live at the Wilson Hotel for
We came to visit
weeks.
you there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I know smoking whiskeys is a very popular thing to do these days, but that's not the way that you want to accomplish it.
And if your whiskeys taste better after that, there's got to be a silver lining.
Everything got ruined. I mean, we took a really big hit. Didn't recoup hardly anything, so it sucked.
I'm sorry you had to go through.
That's all right.
That happened to our beach house growing up. Lightning struck the power box right outside of it, and we were out of town that weekend. And somebody called, and they're like, "Something's going on inside your house." So there was never a fire, but the lightning striking the power box made all the smoke detectors and everything inside the house just smoke. They melted on the walls. And nothing was salvageable. Nothing is salvageable.
I'm actually dealing with a friend of a friend out in Driggs, Idaho right now, and kind of counseling him through the process, because a lot of mistakes that I made was not retaining receipts, not taking photographs of everything. And then at the end of the day, the insurance company is just not on your team, which is tough pill to swallow.
It is. Well, we're sorry you had to go through it. Is there
okay.
something you could have done to prevent it?
I don't know. At the end of the day, it seemed like the problem was that the venting wasn't adequate enough to draw fresh air in,
Okay.
and the install was perfect, and then the chimney was made to code, but it wasn't quite high enough for that
Okay.
wind to vent. So we fixed those two things, and we haven't had a problem since.
All right.
Never go out to dinner. I think
Yeah,
that's
right,
Yeah.
probably
right,
Stay home
the main
always.
mistake you made.
right.
Let's talk about carbon monoxide. Is that a
Okay.
real thing, or is it just like a made up scare tactic like radon?
That's not my
No.
question, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. It's a great question. It's from incomplete combustion, right? So what that means is when the gases, specifically what we're talking about is propane, in some cases that isn't burning efficiently or burning clean, and the undesirable product from that is carbon monoxide. And unfortunately, carbon monoxide, you can't smell it. So it's kind of that silent killer, so to speak. And so it works just like water, where it gets a little bit heavier than air and it kind of seeps to low spots around your house. Enough buildup of carbon monoxide can be lethal. And if you breathe it long enough overnight, it can be very, very dangerous, and you could actually die from it if it has a high enough concentration.
But it starts around our feet.
Starts around our feet, yep. And so that's where you want to put those carbon monoxide detectors, is kind of low in your house, and
Okay.
specifically around outlets in your house. A lot of smoke detectors come cross-pollinated with a carbon monoxide and a smoke detector as well, which I highly recommend. They're more expensive, but you
Right.
get kind of two bang for the buck.
But
Okay.
normally we put the smoke detector up high, and it sounds like monoxide should be down low.
I would imagine it
Yep.
would detect enough of
Okay.
it.
Yeah, it does. And the ones in my house are up in the ceiling, and I feel great about it. And where I put the ones low is actually in the mechanical room, down in the low part of where the heaters are.
Okay.
And so that's where you can kind of stick them in the mechanical room.
Got it.
All right. Well, and it's CO. It's just CO. That's how we say that?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And the important piece of that, both with smoke detectors and CO alarms, is that once they become saturated, once those particulates go across the filter screen that sets off that alarm, that alarm is junk. You got to replace it.
Oh,
So
wow.
you got to keep that in mind.
Oh.
So a lot of times they'll go off from like a cooking event or moisture in your bathroom, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like the full-on alarm mode from CO or from a lot of smoke. So you should think about replacing them. And
Okay.
we try to tell people to not only replace your batteries every year, but if it keeps on going off and alarming and chirping even after the batteries get replaced, you should replace them
Okay.
after that happens.
Single use. It's like a
Got it.
toilet seat cover in a public restroom.
So we have friends up in Big Sky. The Millers recently had a carbon monoxide event in their house, and we're very big advocates of
We're allowed to
putting
talk
in.
about that?
Yeah,
All right.
totally. She put it all out there.
Okay.
Yeah, they now have monitors at home when they didn't have them before, and their kids ended up in the hospital. What are some of the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning that we should watch out for?
Yeah, first of all, the biggest symptom is everybody in the house having the same symptoms. That's how you know something's going wrong, right? So
Okay.
it's not just one person having a headache, it's everybody having a headache and everybody feeling sick to their stomach. And kind of the old wives' tale is that they have that kind of cherry red appearance to them. But the most important thing is nausea, vomiting, and screaming bad headache. And
Okay.
and everybody has it. So not everybody will have a headache at the same time. So it's
Okay.
all for the same reason. So yeah,
Gotcha.
good
So
question.
yeah, usually with us, it's like one day and then somebody else has it the next day. We won't
Somebody
do
in the
that.
family will have a headache every day.
Right.
That is a guarantee. What? Let's just talk about general house fires in our area. What are the most common causes of house fires?
Yeah, the most common the most common fire is an attic fire, and the most common causes is from the the chimney pipe having inconsistencies in the chimney pipe, like meaning a little cracks where the joining members come together, and that breathes fire out to the chase, which is the box that has that kind of clearance around the pipe, so nothing gets too hot,
It's
and
Yeah.
then
like
that
classic
chase.
brick and mortar box.
Or yeah, now it's just a wooden box is the way it's constructed because nobody really
Okay.
uses the brick anymore. And then that fire extends into the attic space, and that's when we get those
Wow.
big raging fires, because attic fires are really hard to initially detect unless you have smoke alarms up there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
So that's our most common fire, and those are kind of the no winners either. Once it gets into the attic, it really gets rolling, and so it's really hard to save a lot of property without burning the roof off.
So people should have their chimneys inspected and those spaces.
100%.
And
Okay.
clean.
100%.
Is there
Yep.
somebody in the area that you recommend to do that?
I can't say that.
Okay, no problem. No problem. It's fine. It's fine. Find your guy, you know?
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
your
There's
own
plenty
chimney
plenty of very capable people that have been around for a long time in Big Sky. There's a big hint there.
Okay, got it. All right,
Yep.
so
I've seen Mary Poppins. They're all out dancing on the
I
rooftops. Okay.
am having
Just
Bert
get you
come
one.
over as soon as possible. So I heard your department has a new training facility. How
Yeah.
quickly will you destroy it?
Well, the great thing about that training facility is it's pretty much the best one out there that you can get. It was a great collaboration between BizRad and the Big Sky Fire Department of coming up with the funding for that. And it's made completely out of steel, 100% out of steel and concrete. So we can train, beat it up, bang it up. We can do live fire in it. We can do fake fire in it. And the thing's going to last well beyond any of our careers. And it's going to stand the test of time. So it's very robust. And the reason why it's made out of steel is so usually most of them are made out of brick or concrete. And that stuff does flex with time and get a little bit insulted by all the damaging with squirting water and pounding on it with sledgehammers and stuff. And they end up having to tear them down and build new ones. But this one looks nice. It kind of fits our community. We were very careful not to get the big Connex containers. So it was a big eyesore with good paint, good trim. So people driving by it weren't like, oh, that ugly training center there.
Yep.
And to be honest, this is something that we've been trying to do as a fire department for 23 years. We've been going down to Belgrade and Central Valley Fire Department training down there for the last 8 years, which has its challenges too, where we bring, some of our staff, pay them overtime to get them out of district, train down there, and depletes our response model up here in Big Sky. So we're really excited. We can train on shift and have our guys still be working and train at the same time.
That's fantastic.
That's so great.
Yeah.
And if community members just want to get some exercise by climbing those stairs, are they allowed to do that whenever they want to?
No, not at all.
No, Joe. I have a question. Didn't you guys used to do a haunted house, correct?
Yeah. And
Are you
we're
gonna-
not doing that anymore because great question. Thanks for putting me on the spot. It actually turned into a fire hazard because we exceeded our occupancy load at the fire station.
Oh,
and
no.
it just got too stressful because
Right.
we're a busy fire department now. And so when we get calls, we'd have kids running around inside our fire station, and then we'd try to move ambulances and fire trucks around. And it was just too stressful because I don't know if you've ever been to one here, but it was like hundreds of people, so it was just too hard to manage.
Back in the Wild West of Big Sky. Yeah.
That's right.
So when all you firefighters are sitting around over bowls of chili, are we at this point, are we talking about the summer of potential forest fires that we may be facing?
Well, first of all, we're not sitting around in bowls of chili. We're working and training all the time.
All the time.
Right. Sorry.
Jeez, Joe.
So
Jeez.
it's really hard to predict. Everybody asks me that because everybody only lives within that last 3 weeks of snowfall, right? So we've had plenty of plenty of winters with snowfall like this. It typically doesn't snow in December. It typically doesn't snow in January. And then we start picking up in February, which is exactly what's happening right now. So I think optimism is the key right now. And I think, yes, we are low. Yes, it is the lowest snow year ever on record, but it's been snowing for the last 6 days. And we had a really super wet summer last year. So I'm very optimistic about it all.
Okay.
So am I.
Great. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. We know that
problem.
you are busy and not enough time for chili.
They've got to eat sometime. I assume that firefighters are always eating chili.
It's firehouse chili. Yeah. But yes, thank you for your time today. And we really appreciate what you do for the community and for
thank you so much.
local firefighters.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
All right.
All right. Thanks
Take
so
care.
much, Seth.
Bye.
Take care.